Hey, I'm PH, and welcome to Good Bible Knowledge with PhD. At this time, we come to an important juncture in the narrative of Genesis, and I want to give a quick recap of Genesis chapters 1 through 11. In Adam and Eve, we learned about the creation of the world, the origin of man, and the tragedy of sin. In Cain and Abel, we learned about the continuation of sin throughout the family of mankind and the need for redemption. In Noah's Ark, we learned about the ultimate consequences of sin, that God is gracious and forgiving, but he is also holy and righteous and will ultimately judge all of mankind for their sin. And finally, in the Tower of Babel, we learned about the origin of the nations, that God in his grace scattered mankind abroad over all the face of the earth. Up to this point, God has been dealing with mankind as a whole. The origins of man, of sin, of judgment, and hope are universal and common to all of mankind, as was God's offer of salvation and redemption. This section leaves us off on a cliffhanger where mankind is now scattered about the earth, alienated from God, and separated from each other. It is here where God's sovereign plan reaches its first major turning point. Instead of continuing to work directly with all of mankind, God now chooses to work out his plan through one particular nation, through which he would reach the entire world. This one nation would become God's grand object lesson, a light in the darkness. It is through this nation that God would write his story, the story of redemption over the next 2,000 years leading up to the coming of Christ. And God would demonstrate the blessings of obedience, the consequences of rebellion, and the need for a Savior. As we follow the biblical history of this nation, we will share in its experiences of the struggles of faith, the joys of victory, and the heartaches of defeat. But most importantly, we will watch the great plan of God's redemption unfold through the ages, and we will come to appreciate his unfathomable wisdom, his unshakable faithfulness, and his immeasurable love and grace. This grand narrative all begins with the historic decision of one man, Abraham.